it's crazy, but it's
You're watching Channel Z, the world's leading zombie apocalypse channel, broadcasting live from Studio Z.
Makes me act the way I do.
Welcome to Undead Live, reporting from the front lines of the zombie apocalypse. We have your back morning, noon, and night, whether you're dead, undead, recently deceased, or fully alive. We have the apocalypse covered. Today, we'll be talking about our changing tolerance for risk, apocalypse fatigue, and the benefits and pitfalls of apocalypse denial.
Yes, and we'll be playing some fun apocalypse versions of Would You Rather and Never Have I Ever to see how much tolerance people have had.
So is this kind of like which apocalypse would you rather and never would I ever even in the apocalypse?
Yes, so the Never Have I Ever are like pandemic related, and then the which apocalypse would you rather I actually asked my daughter to write because I was editing, and so we'll see. I think they might be often cat related. So
all right. Yeah. So the sort of toxo apocalypse influence,
maybe, possibly. Or maybe just being attacked by cats. So we'll see at the end of the show.
All right, excellent. So Dave, I don't know about you, but for me, as the apocalypse has just gone on and on and on, it's kind of become normal for me. How about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was ready for it to become normal before the CDC said, okay, it's normal now. And I still kind of wonder if the CDC was just like me, where they're like, fine, it's normal now, whatever. But but yeah, now I'm sort of like, well, I'm back and still alive. So
yeah. Yeah, and how about for those of you who are joining us, the audience, what do you think? Is that normal now that the apocalypse is just going on and on and on, or does it still feel not normal to you?
Erica's worried about the cat apocalypse, obviously. So,
yeah. Okay, so basically, the CDC is just like, we can't make people act like there's a problem if they want to act like there's not a problem. And okay, so we've got normal is rather subjective. Okay, it's not clear. Mizilikazi, strong position here. This is not normal. So some of us might be like, okay, is this normal? But there are people who are like, nope, not normal. I feel like it's both. It's like on one hand, acting like things are normal, and on the other hand, deeply feeling like things are not normal.
Well, we have a guest that is an expert on risk management. So should we bring Leon and talk about?
Absolutely. Lee, welcome to the show. It is great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So Lee and I have done a lot of work together actually on risk management. And that work that we've done together inspired lots of things, including some major sections of this book that I'm working on right now called Everything is Fine, How to Thrive in the Apocalypse. So it's kind of on this like normal, not normal topic, I guess you could say. But we're going to chat about risk management. And we'll also bring on the creator of Zombified Media's visual world, Neil Smith, because he's created some awesome illustrations that we're all going to be looking at today. So, Neil, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Coming to you live from the UK.
And do you have an apocalypse happening there right now, or several?
Yeah, we have something of a royal apocalypse happening over here in the UK. The hordes are definitely on the street, but they're out there with kind of affection and flowers and kind of I don't know. There seems to be quite a lot of love around for our for the Queen who sadly passed. But it's kind of funny, really funny times here. We have a new Queen, we have a new Prime Minister. It's all go. It's a funny kind of apocalypse.
I could see that. Yeah. Lee, how about you? Or how apocalyptic are things there in New Jersey at the moment?
Well, school just started up again, and based on what I'm seeing on campus, still a bit apocalyptic. A lot of masking. I'm trying to be as normal as possible, act as normal as possible. But I did get my third vaccine booster, so obviously that's not a normal thing. I'm still doing that, still taking that major precaution. And other things I'm doing to make my life easier, also a side effect of keeping me a little bit safer, like not shopping when stores are crowded, things like that. I discovered during the apocalypse that that's a lot easier time to shop when there's few people in the store.
Nice. So you sort of become your new normal. The apocalypse has shaped your new normal.
Now that I think about it, yes, absolutely. Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. In some positive ways, in the sense that it's easier to shop when there's not very many people in the store.
I feel like over here we're a little bit further along, and certainly in my small town in the southwest of England, it does feel a little bit like we're back to normal. But touch wood. It's funny for me. I haven't had COVID yet, so only a matter of time, surely.
Or that you know of, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us get infected with the zombie virus and don't even know that we're infected.
Yeah, Athena, can you give us a quick cough?
On cue, right there. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I might sound a little croaky, and that's because I've been fighting a virus. It's not the zombie virus. I took a test. It's not the zombie virus, but yeah. So anyway, we'll kind of come back to some of those issues of how do we deal when we're a little bit under the weather, and everyone's very, very aware of signals that you might be a zombie.
Now Athena, you were zombified for a while, right?
I was, yeah. So I've had the zombie virus twice, and I'm still zombified by it because I have not been able to return to normal sleep, and it's been like 8 months. So yeah, I'm lucky if I get 5-6 hours of sleep a night. So that's another level of zombification when you're not sleeping properly.
Insomnia, zombified by insomnia. That is bad news.
Yeah.
That's proper zombie.
Yeah. Now, are you adapting to it? Is it becoming your sort of new normal now, where you're just like, well, I get 5 hours of sleep and that's that, or is it like no?
Yeah. So now it is kind of a new normal that is working reasonably well for me because I'm an academic and a parent. Like I wasn't getting much more than 5 or 6 hours of sleep in general before. So once it went from under 4 hours of sleep a night to over 4 hours of sleep a night, I was like, yeah. So so I'm back in it now. Yeah, I guess a lot of people are having issues with COVID insomnia. Maybe for multiple reasons too. Some of it might be long COVID. Some of it might be too much doom scrolling in bed. There's lots of reasons for insomnia associated with the zombie situation that we're dealing with. So
tell me about this risk tolerance book that you guys are working on.
Yeah, well, so it's a little piece of the book, but it's something that we thought we could talk about today because it really dovetails with these issues of how do we as humans manage risk. And if you look at societies around the world, including small scale societies, but also more sort of modern and market integrated societies, even in this country, you see that people use the same kinds of strategies for managing risk. And in fact, this is something that Neil and I have been also working on together to kind of create a visual image of this. Oh, look at this.
Oh, there we go. Right,
yeah, you're nice and big, Dave.
You can be big if you want, but then you got to move to the side.
Here. Yeah. Okay.
Dave, stop competing with my illustration.
The what?
Stop competing with my illustration. Step back.
So we've got 4 different strategies here for managing risk. But before we kind of jump into it, Neil, I wanted to ask you, like, working on this illustration and kind of talking about risk management, like, did it change for you how you were thinking about how you deal with risk?
Yes, I would say absolutely. So you see the risk avoidance section there. That really would be me all over. I'm very much a kind of bury your head in the sand kind of a guy, I'd say, naturally. And I would definitely be doing everything in my power to avoid the realities of any kind of risk or problem. Probably throwing myself into my work, something like that, as a distraction. So, but if the work I'm trying to lose myself in is actually all about managing in the apocalypse, it definitely meant that I had to engage and think about it and really almost embrace these kind of ideas. So I'd say on balance, it was very good for me.
Cool. All right. Well, since we're talking about risk avoidance, we're going to get super busy here. Look at this. Risk avoidance. So changing what you do so that you don't actually end up taking risks. So, I mean, we kind of playfully made this someone hiding under the covers, but in the pandemic, I think a lot of us did do the, equivalent of hiding under the covers because that made sense. It was good. It was a good idea to stay in and to, not actually expose ourselves to as many risks. Now, as things have worn on, I think some of that has changed. People aren't maybe using risk avoidance as much as they used to. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that people have shifted?
Definitely.
Go ahead,
Lee.
Lee. Oh,
Well, in my experience, definitely. I mean, I'm just speaking personally. I've been to 4 concerts, something like that. I wouldn't have done that before the vaccines were available, but I would have avoided it absolutely. But I feel comfortable now because I'm vaccinated, and so far it's worked. It's been okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, as a freelance graphic designer, illustrator, I mean, I've been freelance for 15 years, working from home for 15 years. So actually, the change in my work was negligible, and it played right into my hands in a funny kind of way, because I could just carry on as normal in inverted commas, because working from home and throwing myself into my work is kind of that was just what I'd always done anyway. So, but I think working from home for people, that's a massive change, and that's some serious risk management, isn't it? If you don't have to get on public transport, you don't have to share an office, you don't have to be in an air-conditioned building. That's a huge change, and there's a real legacy there, isn't there, of the pandemic, with a lot of businesses saying, well, that's fine, that level of risk management works, so let's keep it the way it is.
When I first started going back to work, I remember having panic attacks because we sort of had a, university-wide return to campus. And it was like, oh man, like it was freaky. Like I didn't like it. So now I'm okay with it, but I liked being home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it got comfortable to not be exposing yourself to risk. And when a lot of people were doing it too, you weren't missing out because nobody was doing stuff, really.
Well, except essential workers, right? Essential workers had to go the whole time.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah. Yep.
So. I think from a personal point of view, when the pandemic hit, though, I definitely subscribe to that was the famous Chekhov quote: "Any idiot can handle a crisis. It's the day-to-day living that really gets you down." I felt like during when the pandemic hit, I was definitely in the I was definitely out of my bed, and doing my risk reduction. I wasn't literally repairing the roof, but I was definitely I was bunkering down and quite prepared to go to the shop, the 24-hour shop at 3 a.m. to reduce the risk of catching anything while I was buying all of the loo rolls available, all of the bottled water available.
So were you the guy here in the risk retention? Is that what risk retention is? I see somebody with a bunch of bottled waters.
Yeah,
right next with you.
I think I've run the gamut through all of these different stages actually.
So
shall
what
we?
Are these different stages? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about them. Actually, Lee, which one of these is your favorite?
Favorite? That would have to be risk transfer.
Yes,
because
risk
it
transfer
involves social behavior, and that's what I like to study with you.
So tell me what risk transfer means.
It means agreeing with other people to take on some of their risk. Because the thing about risk is you don't know who's going to be hit by which sort of disaster, because the future is unpredictable when it comes to risky things. So you agree with one person or a group of people, or maybe with an insurance company who accepts your money to take on some of your risk. And you reciprocate, again, with an insurance company, either with money or in a risk pooling arrangement, you reciprocate with the willingness to help the other party if they get in trouble.
So did we engage in risk transfer? How did we engage in risk transfer
during this
the
apocalypse?
The social bubble surely is
health insurance is a form of risk transfer.
The what? I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Health insurance is a form of risk transfer. So to the extent to which people are responding to the apocalypse, getting sick, and using their insurance, that's a form of risk transfer.
Yeah. Or if, you were, so this happened to me when I had the zombie virus a few months ago, actually. I asked, a friend of mine to pick up some groceries, pick some things up for me from the farmer's market. And then actually one of them was sick 2 weeks later, and I did the same for her. I mean, it wasn't like I was paying her back, but it was just, we're friends that would do that kind of thing for each other.
That's one thing about risk transfer is you don't really want to get paid back, because the reason you get paid back for the help you're giving is if something bad happens to you. So ideally, people take care of each other in risk transfer arrangements, but they don't get paid back.
So would getting the vaccine, when people were still sort of nervous about the vaccine in the early days, would that be considered a form of risk transfer, where it's like, all right, I'm going to go get the vaccine now. I know it's new, but
so you're sort of taking a risk on it. Yeah, I've always thought about vaccines as risk reduction.
Because most likely they're
going
effective to protect me.
Yeah,
sure.
If the vaccine is effective, then it's risk reduction. But that's an interesting idea, that you would be doing a favor for other people by getting a vaccine early when it could be dangerous to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that was part of my decision to get the vaccine early. Was I was like, because I was staying at home, but I was like, well, I do sometimes encounter people who have sort of bigger health concerns, and so if it reduces their chance, then why not?
So, that's an interesting insight. Yeah.
So do you guys want to explain the risk retention and risk reduction?
One sec, because we have a question, sort of, some clarifications here about what risk transfer is. So it's not really about sort of everybody agreeing to wear a mask to attend class. That's more of like coordination, probably around risk reduction, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And then Erica is asking about the reciprocal arrange. So risk transfer doesn't have to be about a sort of technical, back and forth. It's more of a mutual obligation to help. And these issues of sort of passing on risks and burdens to essential workers. I mean, in a way, that's maybe like an involuntary transfer of risk, as opposed to like, hey, we're agreeing to enter into a risk pooling arrangement.
Yeah, is that more like forced risk reduction, where it's like we're just pushing people who could stay home? We're just like, well, we're going to push you out. Or was it risk transfer cheating? Was there sort of this implied idea of where we say you're an essential worker, so maybe that implies you'll get a raise, and then it was like, well, there's essential, and then there's essential. Like, what would you guys, how would you guys describe the dynamic between people who had to work and people who got to stay home in terms of risk?
That's a great question. I'm not
sure.
I
mean, I do think that there's an element of sort of, involuntarily pushing risk onto onto others. That is an ethical issue that we
Mhm.
probably should
Absolutely.
be thinking about more explicitly in terms of these, risk management issues. So, Lee, I know you have to go in a few minutes. I want to make
Mhm.
sure that we have time to talk about these other two
Okay.
strategies. So we've got risk reduction. Let's talk about that one real quick here. So essentially, anytime you're doing something that reduces your risk, investing some time and energy in doing things that will, reduce the impact of a shock on your life.
Mhm.
So are there some examples of that you think are relevant for COVID situation?
Oh, risk reduction. Well, most of the things I can think of are mostly have to do with risk avoidance,
Mm-hmm.
rather than risk reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Or maybe vaccines.
yeah, well, yeah, vaccines are the best example. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because they don't. Well, they allow you to, if they work, if they're effective, they allow you to lower your guard and engage in less risk avoidance. Yeah.
Wearing a mask, maybe washing
Yeah.
your hands, things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Reduce your
Where,
exposure.
where would putting a go bag together fit?
Putting a go bag together. I feel like that's retention, maybe, because you're accumulating resources to be
Yeah.
used as a buffer against.
So how is risk retention different from risk reduction?
Well, you retain risk by being by having resources, essentially, the resources you'll need to survive in the event of a bad outcome. So a lot of large institutions don't buy insurance; they just have a lot of wealth, and they retain risk that way. They self-insure. It's called self-insurance. Risk retention is mostly a matter of accumulating resources, I think.
Yeah. If you can just kind of hunker down and not have to, worry about the fact that you have a big loss, then you can do risk retention. Of course, these aren't mutually exclusive.
No.
I mean, like for example, if you want to do, the risk avoidance strategy, that's going to be easier if you've been doing some risk retention. So there's certainly overlaps.
Yeah. Yep. And with that, I think I should probably take my leave. I need to go zombify some students. So I'm going to say goodbye. But thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun. And I love the illustration. I need to get that for my class. Very useful.
We'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck out there.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for joining us.
Thanks.
So.
Well, that was fun talking about managing risk in the zombie apocalypse with the zombie virus.
I feel like it's a big Venn diagram that I can move around. Try not to spend too much time hiding under my my bedclothes.
No, we never got, while Lee was here, I wanted to ask, what is just saying running out in the rain, right? Those people were sort of hiding. What is just risk denial? Is that one of those four, or is it its own thing?
Well, so those four are risk management strategies. So if you're not doing risk management, then you're outside of the picture, I guess, because that those are the strategies for managing risk. If you're just throwing caution to the wind, then that's a different kind of thing.
Dave, you stepped outside of the Venn diagram there, I would say.
Okay, so I was thinking that when we were thinking about sending essential workers in, I was like, is that just corporate risk retention where it's like, well, we've got enough employees that we can let a couple die, and maybe just going out without a mask is like, well, I've got enough white blood cells that I can, hope they can keep things going.
Because certainly there's trade-offs, right? So if you're doing all these risk management strategies, there's other things that you're not doing, like trying to gather resources or make social connections or get information. So there's trade-offs. So that's part of the bigger picture. There's other things that you can do other than managing risk.
And now to the question from chat. Does the allocation across these four categories change in normal versus catastrophic time?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, what we've seen in the Human Generosity Project, because we've looked at risk management across a lot of different societies, is that when times get tough, people do a lot of risk transfer. And in particular, that is in the form of need-based transfers. So people will ask for help if they're in need, and people will help if they're asked and able. If you're in the middle of a disaster, it can be hard to do a lot of risk reduction, but you can do some, right? So like say there's a flood coming, and you're putting up sandbags with your neighbors. That's risk reduction. Risk retention, if you don't have the resources at the outset, then you're kind of screwed. So you absolutely can't do that like during a catastrophe. You have to be sort of ready with that. And with risk avoidance, if you try to leave, say you evacuate, that's one element on which, or one dimension by which you could be trying to avoid risk. But if you're already in it, then technically you can't avoid it at that point. So yeah, definitely, depending on how challenging things are, you're gonna be in a different place.
Okay, so there comes a point where your house just collapses, essentially. Is that
something like that?
All right, good to know. So, and then what is that? We don't have a name for that. That's just catastrophe.
When all of your risk management strategies fall apart and you die. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Dave, why don't we play some of these games that you created for us?
Yes. So, all right. So now I'm going to bring on our other guests. We've got Dr. Zed. Welcome. Good to see you as always.
I can't believe I'm on the same screen as Dr. Zed. I'm totally starstruck.
And you were an essential worker, right? You were one of the people who had to be out there taking some of this risk.
Yeah, there was no real lockdown in that respect. I was, it was expected, and voluntarily, of course, did go to work in the pre-vaccine early pandemic era. So yeah, I definitely had that experience.
Well, great. Well, we'll get to play some Never Have I Ever in a minute. And then we've also got Gazelle. How's it going?
Hey, Giselle.
Good.
Giselle.
Good. Thank you for having me on this morning.
And you are one of Athena's graduate students, correct?
Yep, that is correct. This is my second year of my PhD.
Excellent.
And Giselle works on kombucha.
Kombucha.
Among other things, and cancer and cooperation and all of the things that we do in the lab. So,
all right, you guys all ready to play some Never Have I Ever?
Absolutely.
I've got a quick Never Have I Ever kind of primer here. I've never tried kombucha.
Ooh,
what?
Is that an outrageous thing to say?
That's pretty.
No. I feel like a lot of people haven't tried it just because a lot of people are afraid of it. But, if you message me after the show, I'll send you some good kombucha recommendations.
Okay.
All right. Now,
I'm having my kombucha right now, so.
I feel like I'd never even heard of kombucha until like 4 years ago. And now it's like everywhere. Was that just me? Or is that has it become a new thing?
No, I think it certainly is way more popular than it used to be, right, Giselle?
Yeah, it's been around for literally hundreds of years, but I feel like over time it's gone more popular. And I would say, yeah, over the last 4 years sounds about correct. It's become a little bit more mainstream, especially, in the health community and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was since Giselle started working on it. Once she started working on it, it just exploded.
That explains it. Right. So,
yeah.
All right. So to anyone watching at home or anywhere you happen to be, I'm going to bring up some prompts. And if you guys have other prompts you want to add to the chat, then Athena will bring those in as well. And we're going to see. I feel like it might not take us that long, but for those of you who haven't played, you start with 5 fingers up. And anytime you've done one of the things, you've got to put that finger down. So we will see.
All right. And just to prime everyone for getting interactive, now is a good time to smash that like button. It's going to help us fight off the zombie hordes. And as Liz mentioned earlier, it might also get Giselle to tell us more about kombucha later.
Yes,
there you go. So yes, and the subscribe button, which actually I never realized the subscribe button is actually useful. You can actually go and see your subscriptions. I always thought it was just a thing YouTubers tell you to do, but it actually turns out it makes YouTube better. So all right, so here we go. So let's just start with a pretty simple one. Never have I ever attended a concert or live event during lockdown. Have any of you done that? No. Oh,
Not during lockdown.
not during knockdown. You have since then?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
I went
Oh.
to a music festival. I went to a music festival last year, which felt quite COVID affected, and it was just the most joyous and amazing thing.
So it was great. It was worth it.
It
So
was
all right.
totally worth it.
Risk acceptance. All right. How
Risk
about
accepted.
never have I ever used COVID to skip one event and then gone to a different event? I've done that one at least once. So.
That's a great idea. I'm going to use that. Just kidding.
So let's see. Never have I. Okay, I've never attended them to begin. Oh, okay. So that is a person who just never went to concerts. You know what? I was involved with a group that tried to put on a live event, so I probably did attend an event. It wasn't a concert. All right, we've got some kombucha facts. Any
facts.
never have I ever prompts from the audience, or should I go?
We've
on
got
to
a lot of kombucha, so the never have I ever drank
It
kombucha.
definitely feels like Giselle has her own. She needs her own YouTube channel.
All right,
Kombucha is popular.
I'll just improvise. Never have I ever shared kombucha during the pandemic. Anybody share a glass of kombucha? No. All right.
I think I have.
Athena did. So,
I'm pretty sure.
all right. So, all right. How about this? Is a pretty straightforward one. I've done this one. Mask matched, where you see someone who either has a mask on or off, and you just do whatever they're doing, which always made me feel like I really have no real morals about this. So, all right, Giselle, you and I, we did that one. So, anyone else?
Not me.
How about just thanked an essential worker? I feel like that's a nice one. Is anyone? I think I did that.
Yeah,
Good.
I've done
All right.
Who hasn't done that? Come on, guys. Come on.
All right. I don't know if I have. So,
we can all thank one now. Well done, Dr. Zed.
thanks, Dr. Zed. Never have I ever shown up to work with a cough today.
Did you put that one on just because of me?
Maybe. And so, how about refused a handshake? Have you guys ever? Okay, you have done that. All right. So
Yeah,
now,
I've definitely done that.
Is it uncomfortable? I always felt super uncomfortable about that.
You offer them something else, elbow bump or something else.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, you just do a different thing. Okay.
I'm a natural hugger, I must confess, and I definitely missed the whole hugging thing. But so as we were coming out of the pandemic, asking people, hey, is it okay for a hug?
So did you ever? So now, have you guys ever hugged a loved one? Oh wait, we've got Alana that she's thanking essential workers right now. Yeah. So
thanks, Alana.
So now, what about hugs? Anyone still continue to hug loved ones throughout the pandemic?
I have a question. Do I lose or win?
Oh, you're out. You're out. No, it's down to whoever is last. So
what's the hug question?
So well, I had hugged a COVID positive loved one. I actually did. I hugged my daughter while she had COVID, and so that I think puts me out. Oh, you got one more. So everyone's so Giselle, you were doing good. Do we have any from chat or any that you guys can think of?
Here's one.
Mask to cover up.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't do that.
There's some benefits to masking, right?
That's true. So you know what I did do? I got braces during the pandemic so people wouldn't have to see them. So I did wear a mask to cover up braces.
There you go.
Very clever.
What about holding a cough in public? Do we do that one? Where you just are out in public? Oh, Giselle did that. And Neil's out? Is it? It's down to Giselle and Dr. Zed. Oh. All right, we need one more from Never Have I Ever Made a Nasty Face. Have you guys ever stuck your tongue out at someone under the mask or made a nasty face because the mask was covering it up?
Oh, that's a good one.
So, okay, I got another one.
I try not to, but I mean, who knows, right? Maybe involuntarily.
How about never have I ever fallen asleep during a Zoom meeting? Have either of you guys ever done that?
Really?
Oh, Dr. Zed, you are the pandemic champion.
Zoom is so scintillating and so energizing. I can't, obviously.
What was I talking about at the time, Dr. Zed?
Yeah. Right. What were you drawing?
No, he stayed awake. So,
that's
well,
what I did.
congratulations. We should give you like a special mask to wear, like a congratulatory
Excellent.
"Never Have I Ever" mask. So,
Okay.
Athena, do we have any comments that we want to bring in before we go on to the Would You Rather?
Oh, we've just had great conversation. I want to thank everyone in the chat for your making suggestions for the game. Keep it up. We have another game coming. So, Dave, go on.
So the next one is this is Would You Rather, and like I said, I was sort of rushed to get here today, so I subcontracted this to my daughter. I said, could you come up with Would You Rather, come up with scenarios for apocalypses? So here's what she came up with. So, and which one of these would you guys prefer? And join in the chat as well. So would you guys prefer a flying shark apocalypse or a walking shark apocalypse? And why? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, that is. I feel like that is the question on everyone's lips.
Look, let's say scientists are making these. You can only stop one. Which one?
I think I'm going to agree with Alana and go for the walking. I think the flying thing that's another level of risk. As somebody that doesn't fly brilliantly, aeroplanes, sharks. I mean, that's a lot of risk up in the air. Let's keep it on the ground.
Oh, up in the air, huh?
Now, if they're flying, so think about this though. If they're flying, they could eat birds, right, rather than us. Whereas if they're walking, I guess they could eat like cats. But then pretty soon, are they going to run out of food, and then they're coming for us?
Flying things often go to the ground and take prey. Think about hawks and eagles. And
That's true.
Right?
That's true. So, all right. So we have a consensus. Everyone is hoping for a walking shark apocalypse.
Okay.
Great.
You can outrun
Pigs.
a walking shark.
Pigs take over and put us into farms versus all dogs immediately go feral.
Well, I've read Animal Farm, so I know what happens when the pigs take over. So I think I'll shoot for dogs going feral.
Yeah, I mean, if dogs go feral, right? I mean, we domesticated them. What they go back to being wolves, that doesn't seem so bad.
I feel like we could talk them around as well.
Okay, so we can now. What if we couldn't? So this all right. We have somebody chiming in for being
who's taken over the zombified media account.
That's probably like Nicole or Christina, or secretly that's a sentient pig that learned how to type and is trying to feed propaganda to for
the pig bots.
Oh, Erica. Also, this one seems to be pretty split. A lot of people they're not going to give up their dogs. They're going to let the pigs take over. All right. Well, now we have a three-way. Here we go. A three-way choice. Cars turn evil, right? And they try to run us over. Babies never stop crying. Let's start with those two, and then we'll throw in the third option. What do you guys think between those two?
Babies crying just absolutely kills me. So that would be my absolute worst, I think.
Really, I would say babies never stop crying just because I personally don't have one. So
Right. It's possible to avoid babies unless they drive.
So this is the third option. Is any time a baby is in or around a car. Oh, Athena, did you have?
I mean, if cars turn evil, I feel like that could kind of be the end of the world, unless the cars would turn evil and turn against each other and then destroy all the other cars, and then we would be left without cars, and then we could rebuild a carless society.
Cars are pretty evil as that is, right? I mean, they take up a huge amount of space. They create global warming. They cause crashes and injuries. They're not so great.
That's true. So it wouldn't be that much of a change, really.
Exactly. Cars are evil, let's be honest.
Now, what about if only babies could drive cars? And anywhere you needed to go, you need to get a baby to drive you. Would that be better or worse than evil cars?
How skilled are the babies?
We can also bring in Doug's here that pigs start driving without baby seats. So we have another.
We got a lot of apocalypses.
Yeah,
You'll be able to reach the pedals. I'm pretty sure the pigs or the babies, really.
Now, let's say babies started driving, right, and only babies could drive, but then the auto manufacturers adapted, right? So they made the cars more baby friendly. Then how long do you think it would be before that would be a better world than?
Just
the
quickly, can somebody put drugs in my tea, or are we discussing? Pigs and cars.
Right,
road rage. That's awesome, JP.
Look, this is what happens when you ask your kids to write the questions. The plot of Transformers is babies try to drive, I think.
Yeah.
The new Transformers.
Good.
All right, so moving on. Oh, only cats can vote or current government system. What do you guys prefer?
I've got a strong view that cats are secretly plotting the downfall of humanity. So I still think that's better than the current government system, certainly over here in the UK. So I'll shoot for the first one.
For the cats?
Yeah, I'll go for the cats, even though they're plotting to take over the world.
All right, I think cats scare me. I mean, who knows what's going on in their little furry brains?
Yeah, agree. Strongly agree.
We know what's going on. They're taken over by Toxoplasma gondii.
Right?
Yeah. So,
Right.
Well,
They want you to believe.
those
they
are
know.
ours.
They
I
want-
don't know if
Definitely plotting against us. There's no question.
they are. Were there any from the audience, Athena?
We've got a good would you rather here. Would you rather set up camp in a Costco warehouse or a prison?
Oh, that seems easy, right? I know what I would pick.
Yeah, Costco warehouse for sure.
People voluntarily go to Costco warehouses.
Yeah,
I guess,
Costco warehouse.
you know,
I guess the question is, there's zombies coming in, right? So
Yeah,
would you rather
so I
Right.
mean,
I think going to any kind of supermarket during a zombie apocalypse generally ends in certain death, doesn't it?
right, so the prison you can protect, right? The prison, the same things that lock people in can lock the zombies out.
yeah,
So-
and presumably there's a certain amount of, supplies and, infrastructure there for humans
Yeah.
to exist.
There's also going to be
Definitely.
weapons from the guards there, right? It might be a better camp. So
I
that's
think
a
this
good
is. I think this is quite a subtle, excellent, and nuanced question. Actually, I think. I think the more. I mean, immediately you go, oh well, loads of supplies, but actually, I think the prison situation.
if it's a free sample, I guess I have to go with Costco. No,
It's also a question of who's there, right? Are there prisoners that are going to be fighting you for the supplies? Are there other customers in Costco? Is it an abandoned prison? I think.
I don't know. I think in an apocalypse, prisoners, or people who were formerly imprisoned would be pretty good Z team members. They're probably badass.
So that's a good one. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Any
Well,
other would you rathers?
Ryan is just pointing out that if you choose Costco, you're gonna have a problem with the evil cars trying to get the cheap
Oh
gas.
my gosh, you
so.
definitely would not want to be in a Costco during an evil car apocalypse.
And that seems
Probably
like
not.
the plot
Yeah.
of the movie. So you're sitting there in the Costco gasoline line, and then the zombies are coming after you. Yep,
Yeah.
scary.
And
stuff.
you wouldn't want to be on a plane during a crying baby apocalypse either. So those
That's true.
are the worst.
Right, I've
So,
experienced that.
yes.
I tell you what's
Well-
slightly worse is being the parent of a crying child on an aeroplane. That is as an Englishman who's predisposed to apologising. I did not have enough ways of apologising for my
Oh my
crying
gosh.
baby on a 24-hour flight to Brisbane. That was that was the longest 24 hours of my life.
Oh.
All right,
So,
we've got one
we got
last
one
one, I
more.
think, here before we talk about our apocalypse management strategies over the next few months. So, would you rather be stranded on an island with slow-moving zombies or a never-ending forest with quick-moving zombies?
I'd go with the island.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I'm imagining ways to escape them on the island, like with a boat, because can zombies swim? They're just not very coordinated.
I also feel like it's a contained problem if you're on an island. You can establish how many there are, maybe make a strategy for how to contain them or, limit them or destroy them if that's an option. And they're slow. I'd much rather have the slow moving zombies.
I think the
Yeah, it seems like-
slowness buys you time to make a plan, doesn't it?
We've got a consensus, but they can float with purpose. So
Float in a really menacing way.
Wow, it's
Oh boy!
we have a pun
Generation
situation
for sure.
happening here. All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for
So-
joining us for this apocalypse edition of Would You Rather, and what was the first one we played? Never Have I Ever, even
That's
in
right.
the apocalypse.
Good games. Thank you, Dave. And
Never would I ever. Yeah.
Sure. So now I know we're getting towards the end of time, but one of the things we've talked about is how people improvise throughout this apocalypse. And one of the things that we did, I think all of us are pretty proud of, is what do we do, Athena?
We apocalypse the impropocalypse.
Yes, with the ZAM 2020. And do we have time to show that trailer?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at the trailer from 2 years ago's ZAM, and we'll chat about ZAM 2022, which is coming up in October. But here's a little preview of what ZAM 2 years ago was like.
The end is nigh. These are dark days. And what is the one thing that will save us from the zombie apocalypse? Science? Medicine? Disaster preparation? Or is it television? Where other platforms have fallen by the wayside, Channel Z delivers everything you need to prepare for the horrors and joys of the zombie apocalypse.
How do people feel about chainsaws?
Pandemic researchers.
Why does a rabid dog seek to bite humans or anything else it comes across?
Doctors.
And so this pattern of infectious disease burden, it maps actually really well to discriminatory and segregationist practices and policies.
Zombie experts.
I can just taste the healthy fats in this brain.
Go bag experts.
But after the apocalypse happens, people are going to want to know this information, right?
Inappropriately frisky zombies.
Hormonal contraceptives are pretty hard to come by these days.
Conspiracy theories.
I gotta tell you, avocado is kind of like a green brain, is it not?
Time-traveling sex researchers.
But in the future, humankind finally picked up on the fact that kids are just a huge pain in the ass, and so they decided to just stop having them altogether.
Disgusting ideologies.
In order to support the war effort, Britain was exporting rice from the drought-stricken region.
Swearing.
Oh, fuck.
Hilarious paranoia.
I gotta be fucking quiet. I gotta be quiet.
Dancers wearing hazmat suits.
Kind of learning about how the cell worked and how chaotic it was really impacted my performance.
In-depth discussions of the evolution of hip-hop.
Maybe rhyme was first and then language.
It could have been like repetitive sound songs.
Useful tools.
Getting a radio like this would be absolutely clutch. These devices, they've got a little bit more penetration.
This is my BB gun.
Questionable role models. Depressed zombies.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that I'm in this current state.
Irreverent peer-reviewed rap. Tasty and disgusting recipes. Exercise tips. Life straws. Death straws. Handy wipes. Duct tape. Undead clam cancers. Interspecies empathy. Reanimated corpses. Tattooed fruit. Classic authors. Sex with dead people. Imperialist propaganda. Vegan zombies. Economists. Forensic zombie psychiatrists. Universal basic income. Avant-garde artists. People dating pigeons. Radical inclusivity. The molecular gastronomy. Useful of conspiracy theories. Zombie ventriloquists. A music video. Fierce disagreements. About feces. More armed doctors. Real-life vampires. Apocalypse casual fashion. Baby talk for zombies. Racist sinks. Sharp objects. Rocks. Salt. Snakes. Trust fund monkeys. Zombie containment strategies. Hopeful solutions. Irreverent ethicists. A British announcer with amazing puns. This isn't your parents' opiate of the masses. Tune in now. The evolution will be televised.
Wow.
We're going to be doing it again, people.
So I'm
it just looks like too much fun.
I recognize that voice.
Yeah, I mean,
Who is that?
for me, that guy needs an agent and quick.
So we're doing ZAM again in October 2022. It is going to be an in-person meeting with a live stream component. So we'll be having our shows. They will be in studio if we're able to find a safe spot. Do you have an idea for a safe spot, Dave, where we might be able to run our meeting from and produce all of our
I've heard rumors of a safe spot known as Mesa, and so I think downtown Mesa we might be finding a safe studio there.
Intriguing. So, send me the coordinates, Dave. Maybe I'll meet you there.
Yeah, can we meet there next week?
We can try. We can try going and broadcasting from there.
Dave,
in
Dave,
person.
why don't you go in first and check it's safe?
Oh, this is your risk strategy, right? Your risk
Transfer.
reduction. You're transferring the risk onto me. All right. So, well, it sounds good, and yeah. We'll
All right,
see you
Dave,
guys.
send us a message, and we'll come there if it's safe. We'll go to Mesa next week for our show and check out the new digs for our meeting.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week. So,
Yes. Until then, until next week, thank you all for joining us here on Undead Live. We've got the apocalypse covered.
It's crazy, but it seems so logical. I can't deny that there is something supernatural with you. Makes me act the way